Hey guys, I'm Susan, and today we're going to be showing you some pro tips for making jewelry. So today I'm going to show you a couple tips. I want to start with bracelet sizing. This is something that a lot of people get really confused about. So I just want to show you a way to get the bracelet size exactly right every single time. When you're making a bracelet, you can obviously use a design board to get that basic size that fits most people, which is about a 7.5 to an 8 inch. But you know, the beads can be different sizes and they can take up a different amount of the diameter on your wrist. So if you have big beads, you need a longer bracelet. If you have small beads, you need a shorter bracelet to fit the same person. It can get very confusing. But if you want to make it fit exactly to yourself or the person that you're working with, you can do this. You can take your bracelet and you can string your beads. So I have one here that I've started. I've just strung some beads on and I've put them on my wire. Now I've got little bead stoppers on the end. I know you guys are going to get distracted by these, so I'll tell you what they are. They're just little springs that you guys can use to put on the ends of your wire to keep the beads from falling off. And they're called bead stoppers. But that's not my tip. It's a good tip, but it's not my tip. The tip is that when you get all the beads strung on and you think you're about the right size, you can actually take those beads and wrap them around your wrist or that person's wrist like this. This is my demo. Got my little, this is pretend Susan's wrist because it's easier to show you this way. What you do is you want to wrap the beads around the wrist like so, and you want to see if they're touching. If the beads are touching, right here, if they're touching, then it's the perfect size. If there is space, like there is on this one, you need to add beads to fill the space. If they overlap, you need to remove beads so that they don't overlap anymore. So in my case right here, I have got a gap which looks like it's about 1 bead in length. So I'm going to take my bead stopper off the end and put an extra bead onto the end. Then going back to my pretend Susan wrist up here, I'm gonna wrap this around like so, and you can see that my beads just touch. Perfect. I am now ready to add a clasp. And so that clasp will then allow just that a little bit of extra length so that you can fit it on your wrist. Super easy, but it's a way that you can get any bracelet with any size bead to fit anybody's wrist. And that's my tip. So my next tip is about ring finishing. And a lot of you guys have been learning how to make rings. You've been watching my videos on how to make a ring for every day of the week. And you're still kind of ending up with a finished ring that doesn't look, I guess, finished, you know, like it doesn't look professional. And so I'm just gonna show you a little tip. This is something I do after I finish every single wire ring that I make that really kind of changes up the look of the finished piece. So here's a ring right here. This is one I just did with a pretty bead. And then I've got another ring right here. This one's done. And you can see on this one how the wires are all kind of nice and smooth and all together, and everything just kind of looks neat and tidy. And this one I haven't really finished yet, and kind of all the wires, you can see they're kind of going off to the sides a little bit. They're a little bit loose, and it just doesn't look like I've finished it. So what I do is once I get to this point, I've got the whole ring done, everything's wrapped, I've trimmed it all, and finished, I take my trusty ring mandrel and I go back onto the ring mandrel with my ring, and I push it all the way up to the size that I was making. In this case, I was making a size 8, and I push it all the way up there, and then I just twist the ring all the way around the mandrel as I'm pushing upward on the ring towards the fatter side of the mandrel. Then I take the whole thing back off again, I turn it around, and I do the exact same thing. I push it up onto the mandrel, and I give it a twist just like this. And then I twist it the other way and then pull it back off. And I sometimes do that a couple times just to kind of push everything together. It just solidifies the ring. It kind of brings all those wires together so that they look a little bit prettier and more finished. It makes a huge difference in how your ring wears and how your ring looks. So the wires kind of come together. They look like one cohesive unit. So you can see the change. See the difference? That looks much better and much more professional. So when your customer picks it up, they're not even gonna realize it's a wire ring. They're just gonna be like, wow, that's really pretty.
Hey everybody, I'm Katie, and my pro tip for you is how to measure chain quickly and easily for a chain tassel. Sometimes it can be frustrating getting your segments of chain exactly the same length. But here's a tip. If you stack them on a head pin, it's so easy to see. Let me show you. I'm just gonna cut 6 segments of chain. And instead of worrying so much if they're the exact same length right now, I'll show you a quick trick. I'm going to use a head pin and just stack those segments on. And now I can easily see what I need to cut because it goes straight across. So say I want it to actually just be a shorter tassel. See? That makes everything a lot faster, and now I can see that everything's the same length. Now I'm going to quickly show you how to just complete an easy chain tassel with a jump ring. Open up the jump ring with a couple of pliers. Just twist it open. And then just string on your chain segments. And now close it up. Whoop. And you have a cute little chain tassel that you can attach to leather, chain, an ear wire, whatever you want. My second pro tip is to always hide your knot when making a stretch bracelet. Depending on the size of a stretch cord you're using, sometimes the knot will show and it just looks really messy. So one of our secrets is we love to use a large whole bead to cover the knot. You can use a large whole pearl, a large whole metal bead, or anything like that to do that. So I'm gonna just show you how to tie the knot and then put it under the bead. It makes everything look seamless and pretty. So I have my bracelet strung here, and the holes on these are pretty small. But then here is my large hole pearl where I'm gonna hide my knot. So just go left over right, right over left, and I always go twice on the second one, and then pull it tight. And you can see how big that knot is. So now I'm gonna do the trimming here. I'm just gonna cut the tails. And I can even leave a little bit of tail there because it'll all fit inside of that pearl. And now nobody knows there's a little knot hiding in there.
Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed our pro tips. Love to hear what other types of pro tips you would like to see in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that bell, and we'll see you again next time.